James up and under, throws it off the backboard. Oh, what a perfect pass to himself.
You think about it. I don't know how many years ago Michael Jordan made the move against the Lakers, and we remember it today. That play he just made will be talked about a long time after we're finished. Great recognition.
Hello, my name is Matt Callan. I'm at the RoundTable here for NBA time. Quick finals. We're going to start free agency earlier than usual. And, of course, the big storyline for free agency this year is LeBron James. And really, the offseason won't really start until he is signed. Of course, every team should be interested. Really only a few places that have a real shot. And really, the lack of cap space that teams have this offseason could complicate things. Really, for teams that are a realistic destination for LeBron. I mean, going down the list, you can knock off a bunch of teams already. Teams that just aren't good enough. Atlanta, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Chicago, Dallas, Detroit, Memphis, New York, Orlando, Phoenix, Sacramento. That's probably, tier 3 on LeBron's list. Not realistic at all. They don't give him a better chance to win than what he would have had in Cleveland. I think it doesn't seem like it's going to be a deep group that he could go to, but I think there are, some teams that don't look like they're going to get a meeting that I think could be interesting. I think Denver is one of them. So you have there with Millsap and Jokic, and then the two young guards and Jamal Murray and Gary Harris. That would be a pretty good supporting cast for LeBron. They have some movable contracts with Plumlee set to make about $13 million, Fareed $14, and then you got Darrell Arthur and Wilson Chandler both have player options for next year at $12 and $7 million. I think this would be an interesting fit, and he would be the ball dominant player there, and Murray can shoot off the ball. I think this would be a nice fit. Not sure it's really entirely realistic. I think a team in the East on the rise, Milwaukee. You can stick him next to Giannis and Chris Middleton. Of course, cap space is an issue. They're trying to move John Henson. Tony Snell is making over $10 million. Dellavedova almost $10 million. So you have three guys there that could help make some room for LeBron. Contract Bledsoe at 15. You'd have to probably move him too. With the contract situation, doesn't seem likely, but of course that would be a very fun team to watch with LeBron and Giannis. Most likely destinations right now outside of Cleveland all seem like they're going to be in the West. It's obviously a much tougher road to the finals. So it makes sense to stay in the East, but I'm not sure there's a ton of realistic scenarios there. Another one who we reportedly, according to Stephen A. Smith, will not meet with the 7 teams that Stephen A. gave out. One of them that wasn't on the list was the Spurs. Of course, Popovich apparently is trying to get a meeting with LeBron. I think this would be a great fit, right? Their point guard, DeJounte Murray, more defensive point guard. LeBron could step in and be their primary ball handler. I'm going to assume they're going to get Kawhi back. Him, Kawhi, LaMarcus Aldridge, a pretty good start right there to get back on the top in the West for San Antonio. Again, contract issues would be a problem. So getting to the 7 teams that he reportedly will meet with: Golden State, Boston, Philly, Houston, LA, Lakers, Cleveland, and then Miami. I think there's, for me, I think there's really 4 teams that, of those 7, I don't think he should really consider. I think, of course, Golden State. For obvious reasons. Joining the team, he's lost 3 of the last 4 finals to, and then of course, there would be a lot of maneuvering there. Not sure how they would pull it off. Doesn't seem very likely. I don't think Boston is really a good fit, of course, with Kyrie there. He's got one more year, and then a player option for 19-20, which is around $21 million, which I would assume he would opt out of that. And that obviously wasn't a great fit in Cleveland. They would have to, of course, move some money around. For LeBron, if he went to Boston, I think they'd be the finals favorites. I think even over Golden State. of course, I mean, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals without Hayward and Kyrie, of course. I mean, but one of those, I mean, it looks like one of those guys would really have to go. I mean, they're going to be about capped out. You got Kyrie at 20 million, Horford at around 29, and Hayward around 31. So one of those guys you would have to move. I don't think that's what Boston should be doing at this point. I think they should keep going in with their future, because they're going to be a very good team for a long time with this team, with or without LeBron. It doesn't seem very likely. Philly is a popular pick. A lot of people think LeBron should go to Philly. Money-wise, it works very well because, of course, they have a lot of guys on rookie deals. Embiid's extension picks up next year. It's $25 million. Yeah. Then really the only other double-digit contract dollars-wise is Covington. He's signed till 2022. He's only making around $10 million. Next year, I mean, Jared Bayless is up at around $8 million. They're gonna have a max slot for LeBron, which is why, I mean, they're gonna be obviously a competitor as well in the East, which is why it does make some sense. I mean, I just feel like I mean, it's almost like he would come in with these young guys. It kind of seems like they have, they're on a different track right now, and they have these young superstars that you want to see grow. That getting LeBron would almost be like, almost cheating really to get to really advance their track a few years. I mean, they should be probably an NBA Finals competitor within the next few years. Of course, with LeBron, you speed that up. It really becomes next year. I'm not really sure if it's great basketball fit either. LeBron's not a total non-shooter, but he'd be another dominant ball handler next to Simmons. I mean, I'm sure they'd make it work, but it's another factor that I don't think would be ideal. So, as an NBA fan, I'm not sure I want to see it. I'd rather see these Sixers develop on their own. But that definitely does make a lot of sense with the max slot they should have open, and it gives you a chance to compete right away in the East. So that does make a lot of sense for LeBron. As a fan, I don't really want to see it. And then Miami, that's not a. I think that supporting cast isn't really enough of an upgrade over Cleveland. I think it's a better team than what the Cavs have without LeBron, but probably not putting you over. But that would be interesting if he did go back to Miami. And then Houston doesn't seem likely just because money-wise they have some room this year. Of course, they have Chris Paul as a free agent who wants max money. And then Clint Capella is a restricted free agent, so you assume he's going to get a pretty nice offer sheet from someone. I think for Rockets it kind of makes sense just to run it back with what they had last year. They brought Golden State to Game 7 without Chris Paul in that Game 7. If I'm Daryl Morey, I'm bringing everyone back really. Ariza's a free agent as well, Bob Moute as well, and Gerald Green. I'd say just run it back with those guys and give Golden State another run. If they didn't have that Ryan Anderson contract that's $20 million, if you're gonna go after LeBron, I don't think they could find someone to take Ryan Anderson's contract, especially without draft picks or really young players that they don't have. Eric Gordon's making 13, PJ Tucker's making around $8 million. But I don't think they should blow everything up. But of course, LeBron, Harden, and CP3 would probably make Houston the favorites. I think Cleveland probably. It doesn't seem like they're going back to Cleveland. We all saw the finals. It was almost embarrassing at times how bad the Cavs looked at times. But of course, we saw Game 1. They competed. It would have been. I don't think they had a chance to win this series. Could it have gone 5 or 6? Maybe. I think, of course, they would have had to win that Game 1 if George Hill doesn't miss that free throw. Then, of course, JR. But of course, the thing with the Cavs is they have a ton of money on their payroll, and so that really was limiting their ability to really improve. They're going to be, between Love at $24 million, George Hill 19, Tristan Thompson 17, J.R. Smith almost 15, Clarkson at 12.5. And there's not a lot you can do there, I don't think. And those aren't contracts they're going to be traded easily. I mean, if they do have that 8th pick, that they're going to improve some way with that, you would hope. I think just the way it ended in Cleveland was kind of rough, but I mean, it definitely did feel like the end. But I mean, if LeBron wanted to go back and for a year and try to have maybe this, they find a way to improve somehow. I mean, but it's going to be tough. Of course, it's the team that he played for last, so they're gonna at least have somewhat of a chance to re-sign him. I mean, he could opt in for the last year, try to give it one more run. It doesn't seem likely, but still definitely a possible scenario. And then the last team he's meeting with is the Lakers, which of course this really only makes sense if Paul George goes there as well. Even with Paul George, I'm not sure they have enough. And of course they're gonna have a ton of salary cap room. Brook Lopez coming off the books. You had Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, that big 1-year deal he signed. His 18 million coming off. Luol Deng, his contract is still there. Other than that, you got Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Kyle Kuzma, and then you put in with LeBron and Paul George. They would have to get a center too. It's definitely something to consider. Of course, he has ties to LA. I think any team LeBron is on is going to be competitive. But when you're with LA, now you're in the second round. You're gonna be playing either Golden State or Houston, most likely. I mean, it just gets tougher going into the West. They're gonna have around 60 million in cap space, the Lakers, but that's going to be taken up by LeBron and Paul George if they decide to go there. I mean, the Lakers are interesting. I think his maybe off the court ties to LA would be more influential to him going here rather than what they're going to have on the floor. I mean, I would personally like to see him go to San Antonio, and I mean, they're just about capped out for next year. They do have some movable parts, and they might have some money come off with player options, Danny Green and Rudy Gay. But I think Popovich and LeBron, and then Kawhi Leonard, I think that'd be a fun team to watch. And they realistically could give Houston and Golden State some trouble in the West. I don't think any other. I mean, unless he would go to Houston, I don't think there's really any other Western Conference team that's really going to give him a chance to get past Golden State. So I mean, other than that, I'd probably like to see him stay in the East personally. I mean, of course, Philly doesn't make a lot of sense with their contract situation and their really good young players. I wouldn't rule out Cleveland, but there's not much they can do to improve. I don't know if he's going to want to go through another year of frustration. I think you can see that he felt during these playoffs. So I mean, it really should be. I mean, I'm really interested to find out where he's going to go. I'm sure the rest of the league is watching very closely. But this was NBA time, first off-season edition, and we'll see you next time.
Blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection! Wow. His third block of the game as we come up on a minute and a half remaining.